sale for $5. Yes, it's pretty brutal, but wait until you see how I'm going to flip it.
I started by using a mini wire brush to scrape away the cast iron ends. I get these wire brushes from the dollar store and they are so handy. It worked really well for getting all the moss, dirt, and rust. Then I removed the old boards. This took a bit of time to get the bolts off. I ended up cutting some of the boards with my battery chainsaw and I used a zip cutter for some of the screws and bolts. Once I got it all apart, I wiped it clean and I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum semi-gloss black spray paint. I painted all of the cast iron and metal pieces and I found one coat was actually enough. It covered really well. While that was drying, I cut some new boards and I ripped them on the table saw to make a 1x3 size. I use cedar boards because I love the look of cedar and that's what I had on hand. However, I would recommend a harder wood if you wanted a bench to hold a little bit more weight. I sanded all the boards, I wiped them clean, and then I finished them with exterior clear Varathane, and I did go with 2 coats. Next, I put everything back together, drilled holes for the bolts, and you'll notice these bolts are black on top. I had previously spray painted the tops black for a different project that I didn't complete, but I'm so glad that I saved them because they really came in handy for this one. The back boards were attached using screws, and I secured everything together, and that's how I completely transformed this garage sale find. Can you believe I only paid $5 for it? What do you think? Was this flip worth it? I think it looks like it's worth way more than $5 now. How much would you pay for it? I hope this inspires you to go garage sailing and flip your finds.
I found these beautiful chairs on the curb for free and loaded them into my car for my next project. First, I removed the seat cushions and gave them both a good clean. Then using a sanding block, I lightly sanded all the surfaces just enough to remove the glossy finish. Next, I placed the chairs side by side with a 12-inch gap. I cut a couple of 2x4s, made pocket holes on either ends, and connected the 2 chairs together. Then I measured the total length of the seating area and cut 3/4 inch thick pine boards to size. I needed 3 1x6 boards for this seat. I rounded the edges and sanded it smooth with 120 grit sandpaper. After wiping off the dust, I stained the wood with an outdoor grade stain in walnut shade. Next, I sprayed an even coat of white primer on the chairs. Once the primer dried, I applied multiple coats of this light beige paint that's good for both indoor and outdoor use. Once it was dry, I placed the wood seat on top and secured it by adding screws from underneath. And there you have it, a modern bench made from old chairs. Perfect to add a little charm to your front porch, cozy up your deck, or create a hangout spot in your yard. I headed to my local store and picked up a bunch of these cinder blocks along with some 12-inch wide pine boards. To start, I strategically arranged the cinder blocks in a T shape, placing them in 2 levels on either end, and adding extra blocks in the center to accommodate the wider space. You have the option to secure the blocks with construction adhesive or let their weight do the job. Next, I cut the pine boards to match the seating length and added some patterns. I marked the center on the 2 boards and began to draw the pattern I wanted. Then taped the edges with painter's tape and used an outdoor grade paint and stain. Once the paint was dry, I removed the tape, repeating the process to achieve the desired pattern. I then placed the boards upside down and connected the 2 boards using these mending braces. Then to protect the wood, I sprayed it with a waterproof coating. Lastly, I placed the wood top on the arranged cinder blocks and added a couple of outdoor pillows for comfort. And just like that, a simple and affordable DIY seating bench is ready to use.
I picked up this old 2-piece headboard for free on Facebook Marketplace, and it's time to give it some life. First thing though, I need to cut it to size. This is the front part, and I'm going to cut it down just to the top of that flat board. I need to do this to both sides. Using a Sawzall is the easiest way to do it. Once I get it all cut, Then I'm going to go to the bigger part, the back side of the headboard, and I'm going to cut it down to size also, but I want to cut these little knobs off the top because I'm going to reuse them. Once I get that first part cut on the larger headboard, I'm going to sand it down, make it nice, put some glue, and then I'm going to add those little spinny knobs that I put on there. I want to make sure that the glue adheres, so I pop it up to make sure it looks good, and then I'm going to take my brad nails, just cover it in a few places, and make sure it's secure. Next, I need to put those two headboards together. I'm going to grab a 2x4 for that. I'm going to cut these down to about 13.5 inches, and then I need to put some pilot holes. I don't want to split the wood when I put the screws in, and pilot holes are key. Once I get those screws set, ready to go, then I'm going to take that 2x4 and I'm going to put it in place, making sure that it's flush with the top. And then I'm going to take and alternate between the screws so I don't make it pop out, and put those screws in. Next, once the board's all together, it's time to prime. As you can see, this headboard has a lot of grooves on it. So instead of taking a brush or a roller, I'm going to use some spray paint. And yes, primer is gray. There's two ways to apply it to a large area. You can go back and forth or do a circle motion. I prefer the circles, it covers really nice. I'm going to let that dry for about an hour, and then it's time to put the paint on. I use a nice quality paint, and again, because of all the grooves, it's time to spray it. That way I can get it covered real nice and get about 2 to 3 coats on there. I'm going to get every single area, and then it's time to turn my attention to the bench. I'm going to use some 1x6s for this. If I put 3 of them together, it's going to make the perfect width. But that back one needs some notches cut out. I'm going to use a jigsaw to cut that, sand it up to make it nice and smooth with the edges, and then the magic here is wood glue. Wood glue, if you put it down, it's going to put to all the sides, and it'll make sure it's nice and strong. Once that glue's down, I'm going to be very careful, put that first back piece in with the notches, and then I'm going to use my brad gun to put it in place. Just 2 nails to hold it down until the glue sets up. Next, it's time to put the last 2 pieces in, lay out all the glue, put the pieces down very carefully, and again, turn back to the brad nail and put those in. Just takes a few. Then I'm going to turn to some gel stain. Now, this stain is going on really thick, but don't worry. You spread it out nice and even, and it's going to look really good with that grain. And the secret is take a rag and take off all the excess stain. Too much, it's going to get blotchy. Once we get all of that excess stain out, guess what? It's time to put it in place. And look at this. I absolutely love it. So remember, we don't throw anything away when we can upcycle it. I hope this inspired you to make your own headboard to bench decor. Thanks for watching Home Talk. We'll catch you next time.